You know things are going well. You know he has to be in a fantastic mood when Jerry Jones tells Peyton, let's start this thing a little bit early today here on Shan, RJ, and Bobby. Your home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Good morning, Jerry Jones. How are you?
Well, y'all, as usual, we're starting it off, and you've got me figured out to the T. I've been sitting up here since about 6 this morning with bated breath waiting to talk to you guys. And man, what a way to start the year. How exciting. I'll tell you this, 23 was really a heck of a year for everybody involved in many ways around the Cowboys. I just can't wait to try to top it in 24. But when we get back at all for 23, might have gotten a little closer to that to be trite, but maybe we can get that accomplished early in 24.
Can you believe that you're sitting here in this position? Just try to put it into words, Jerry. If you win at the Commanders, you guys win the NFC East and sit there with the number 2 spot in the conference. Just try to put that into words in terms of believability.
Well, it certainly was yes, secured it, all these words way for us to end up in this spot. However, I will say this now, from the time we started training camp, you know what was printed on our forehead and what the goal was to get ourselves in the best way we possibly could to compete in the playoffs and compete for that ultimate prize. And that implies having this spot as we go into the playoffs. It just implies.
Jerry, let's focus a little bit more on what happened in Arlington. What was your understanding? What were you thinking? And what is your final understanding of that 2-point conversion play that the whole sports world is talking about?
Well, I think it certainly there were many times in that entire sequence of plays, the plays before it, the one where we got the whipping or the tripping penalty, really impacted our decision-making. We were obviously trying to score, and that was a critical play. There were a lot of plays that happened there, and I just can't believe the convoluted way that we ended up winning that ball game. I can believe it, but from the standpoint of the old adage that one play doesn't do it, in this particular series, it didn't do it. There were a lot of different plays that were penalties that were called there, starting with our tripping penalty that influenced that were questionable.
Jerry, is there anything the sport can do to, make the procedure of declaring as an eligible receiver easier or more concise so there isn't confusion on the official's part? Or is that just something you just can't really worry about?
Well, let me put it like this. First and foremost, the defensive team is supposed to know, it's clear, who the receiver is eligible that might not have been deemed eligible. That's clear. The rule calls for that. You're supposed to know that if you're playing defense. Anything you do to fuzzy that up can get fuzzied up, and that's what happened.
Jerry, you guys are now 20-5 when CeeDee Lamb goes for at least 80 yards receiving. I know you once referred to Ezekiel Elliott as the straw that stirs the drink on offense. Do you think Lamb has sort of become that for you guys, that proverbial straw on offense?
Well, unquestionably, in the sense that you have to have a lot more coordination between the quarterback and the receiver, Lamb and Dak, than it happens just the game between the quarterback and the running back. You have to have coordination between all of them, but that receiver combo has to do with confidence. It has to do with just complete each one of them probably getting in each other's shoes. That's happening here, and we're seeing it, and, boy, we're benefiting from it. Two great players, Prescott as well as Lamb, are in sync, and it's really been a huge asset embellishment, the fact that they're together as good as they are.
Jerry Jones brought to you by Ford, built for Texas, built for you every Tuesday here on Shan and RJ 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, what were some of the other performances that jumped out to you from Saturday that led to that win that really impressed you?
Lawerence from the get-go, DeMarcus Lawerence, boy, he set the tone with the very first play, and he played that way throughout. It's consistent with how he's been playing. Sometimes the actual sack or pressure stat, even that doesn't give the impact in the game that a player is having, obviously. Well, Lawerence is such a player to deal with over on the defense. He's relentless, he's talented, and he's a pressure player. And, of course, he's just been incremental in the success that we've had stopping the run. As you know, we look at our defense and say, hey, how about a little more run support from the defense? Well, we all know that's a big answer and a complicated one. But Lawerence gives us that compliment that, boy, we would have an issue in the run game if it weren't for Lawerence.
And Jerry, you talking about the run defense there, is it comforting to you that, following the Buffalo game and the trouble you guys had stopping the run, that you've been able to hold two of the top rushing teams in the NFL, the Dolphins and the Lions, really below their season averages? Does that give you confidence in where the run game is heading on defense?
It certainly does. Very impressive. Very impressive. And as you know, we do some things to put the pressure on the quarterback. And plus, we do some things in coverages with our type linebacker that we play with. They're a combination safe linebacker, so that we can stay with those tight ends and stay with those intermediate.
Jerry, while things have improved on the run defense side, you guys have failed to rush for 100 yards in 3 straight games. That's the first time that's happened in a season since 2013. Do you have any concerns about where your run game is at on the offensive side of the ball heading into the postseason?
Yes, I do. But that's the place to be concerned. And we should be. We should always be concerned about the run going into the playoffs. But do we have the ability to run the ball in the playoffs? Yes, we do. Starting with Pollard. But also, I like what's happening in our offensive line. We've played a lot of players lately. We've got a chance to benefit from those reps that those backups have been having as well.
Jerry, how are you feeling about the status of Tyler Smith?
Well, I don't know the status, don't know that anybody does this morning, but because of what happens with a plantar fascia injury, they really root for it to completely tear, just completely tear. And if it does, then it's apparently a lot more realistic to think that they can almost go right back out there. It's when it's in between there, partially torn, like our tight end had during training camp. Having said that, I'm going to be very positive, should be positive about it. It'll take quite an effort on his part to be there and productive for us.
Any chance you guys have, I know you're always looking, but any extra scouring out there on the market for some O-line help given Tyler's status?
You can imagine that's probably the most sought after asset anywhere this time of year in the NFL is to find a productive offensive lineman. They're rare, to say the least. They're rare availabilities, even almost impossible. But we certainly are at all times pounding it to try to improve it. This may be better for us, but I'm really looking at the depth that we've been able to play over these last few games. That was a good outing by Bass in there. Chuma will be called on to help us out a lot here, but I don't in any way want to dismiss that Tyler could be out there as early as this week. We'll see how it goes, but it really has to do with dealing with pain.
Jerry Jones joins us here at 105.
The injury itself is doable. The injury itself is doable to play on.
Very good. Jerry Jones joins us here at 105 through the Fan. All right, I want to take you through this end-of-game scenario, your last possession. This has been talked about a lot over the weekend. 2-minute warning. You come out. There's a pass on 1st and 25. This is after the tripping penalty. Complete to Lamb. Detroit takes a timeout. It's their second of 3. The next pass at 2nd and 14 was a deep pass to Cooks. Did you have a problem with passing in that situation, not running the ball, forcing Detroit to use their final timeout and burning another 40 seconds plus off the clock?
Well, the pass was designed, or the thought process was to go to a more of a flatter pass, not to the end zone, and that with has a high percentage completion ratio. The issue is whether you just totally put your mind on the clock and try to knock 40 seconds off that clock. That's speculative in and of itself. But Mike wanted to go for the win. The penalty, of course, that we got for tripping, which was really questionable. But the point is, we got that penalty for tripping. That kind of really frustrated, if you will, the situation. Having said that, the touchdown, of course, does it. Field goal we got. But more importantly, we didn't get the time off the clock. Hindsight, I'd like to have the time off the clock.
Jerry, we have to talk about the special moment at halftime. Could you just recap for us what it was like to have Jimmy Johnson go into that Ring of Honor?
Well, I think that you saw it in the eyes of all the players of the time, and frankly, I was really, if you will, impressed or taken back really by the enthusiasm of the other Hall of Fame members, the Staubach, the Bob Lillies, the Tony Dorsetts. So it was a great time. More importantly, the right thing happened in terms of him being in the Ring of Honor. The rule is one, simply, it's not just about the coaching or the playing. It's about who has really made a major contribution to the Cowboy franchise. That's the way it was handed off to me by Tex Schramm, who invented the Ring of Honor, and I hold to that. I know that over the years, just by the nature of our relationship, the success we had, the way our time together ended as far as him being coach of the Cowboys, it became even more interesting, or if you will, a little more controversial. But none of that, in my mind, stood in the way of. He was always going in the Ring of Honor. He had 2 great Super Bowl wins as coach. He had a great 5 years here with the Cowboys. Our time together changed my life. I know from talking with him personally, it changed his. It was a great day for both of us.
Jerry, we obviously talked about the Tyler Smith injury. Are you any closer to getting Jonathan Hankins back on the field? And in general, how is your team's health heading into this game against Washington?
I think there's a real good chance, and this is really mirrored mainly not by how he checks out today, but the plan was for him to have a shot this game. Now, we didn't know we were going to be but we knew we were going to play Washington, but we didn't know the stakes that were going to be here, assuming, though, that at all hands on deck at all times. So I hope Hankins will be back in there. But Smith played pretty good, and so that we need him to continue to increase the level of effectiveness, Mozzie Smith, but it'd be good to have Hankins back.
Jerry, I wanted to get your thoughts on the David Tepper situation. He appeared to throw a drink on a fan in their game against Jacksonville this weekend. What are your thoughts on that? Do you expect the league to take any action against the owner?
Well, I wouldn't have a thought on that because it does involve the league and David Tepper. I know that from this standpoint, I know him well. He's he's a credit to the NFL. And I do know that, boy, when you're not winning and I can say firsthand how tough that can be, and it's pretty tough when you're on the road too. So, but the bottom line is you're dealing with a very, very high quality, extraordinarily high quality individual, and you're dealing with somebody that has put it all on the line. He didn't back away. He has got the whole show down there on his shoulders, and so nobody has the incentive to do it righter for the Carolina Panthers than David Tepper.
Well, look, the whole Metroplex has gotten a new shot of energy with this opportunity on Sunday. It's unbelievable. We had a night to always remember on Saturday, thanks to Mr. Bennett Glazer, and you made us look good in front of our ladies by catching them with us on the field. So it was great to see you, great to catch up, and let's keep the magic going.
Well, guys, I'm not getting off yet because you brought up a great subject for me, David Tepper. I mean, Bennett Glazer. But my fondest memory of Bennett was we went over to Kentucky and made a great traditional trip to one of the great distilleries over there, Maker's Mark. And, boy, we had quite a crowd with us. So big that David and I mean, not David and I, but Bennett, we sat in the floor. We sat in the floor and literally had our legs crossed with the other one, looking at each other, almost nose to nose. And that's the way we flew back to Dallas to come home from that trip. Now, you get to know each other pretty good in circumstances like that. And we probably didn't even need the airplane. We'd been over having a tasting for our Maker's Mark, great relationship, and having the owners blend and all of that with Bennett. But the point is that we really didn't need the airplane. We could have flown back under our own power. But he's really a great citizen of our area and has done so much economically for our area. And so he's a pleasure. He's a real pleasure to be around. And he puts that wind beneath my wings as a real supporter of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well said. Thank you so much for the time. This is an awesome feeling. We can't wait for the next one. Go and get the division title. Thank you, Jerry.
Let's have a big week. Thank you, guys.
Jerry Jones, brought to you by Ford, built for Texas, built for you.